Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. On today's Lullaby series, we will be reading some very deep poetry by Roya Marsh. Roya Marsh is a gem in the literary world. Aside from being a talented writer and poet, she is also an activist and an educator. The way she speaks her truth so effortlessly is felt all throughout the pages. In her poetry book titled Daylight, Marsh discusses the intersections of what it means to be Black, what it means to be a woman, and what it means to be lesbian in the 21st century. She is also very candid about mental health and the way the world mistreats Black women in broad daylight. Malcolm X's words still ring true to this day. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. And Marsh's poetry book further highlights this point. I highly recommend reading this. You can check this out at your local library or you can order it online. I'd also like to note that Marsh speaks very bluntly within her work, and she does not sugarcoat her authenticity to make it more digestible. So I will not censor myself when I read her poetry, and hopefully the platforms that I post it to don't censor me either. All of her poems start with in broad daylight, with the G being capitalized. And I feel that's very symbolic. The G could represent God, goddess, or some type of deity. But ultimately, I feel that she is shining a light on what happens inside the world of Black women and people who have multiple forms of oppression within their identities. She's taking what's been in the dark and writing about it and exposing it in broad daylight. So I think that that is what that could mean, from my perspective. Comment down below what you think in broad daylight means. And the level of honesty that it takes to express raw emotions is a gift. Let us start with poem number 1. In broad daylight, bruised Black girls look goals. And this poem was dedicated to the erasure of Emily B. and Toni Nicole Wells. 1 and then the 2. 2 and then the 3. 3 and then the 4. Then you gotta leave. Then you gotta. Yo, when I come through, man, it's not even funny. Chokeholds too tight. Left looks too right. These bitches can't. Look. They hearts racing. In the presence of the man. Your future, your past, the man. You. 1 and then the 2. 2 and then the 3. 3 and then the 4. Then you gotta. Then you gotta. Then you gotta. Leave. And these are lyrics from Fabulous's Breathe song from 2004. What the world gonna say about a single mother? Same shit they say about a battered one. Question. What she do to make him go off? Answer. Stay. Fight. Tooth and nail. Call daddy. When your baby daddy forget he not your daddy. When your whole relationship been a game of dress up and the costumes come off. In front the camera. In front the world. And you live long enough to be hashtagged into fault. Defense of the abusive Black rapper stretches longer than Turkey Day leftovers, and you surplus crumbs from the dust of woman and color. Black bitch, gold digger, how dare you save yourself? We told you, die, so we can RIP you, sis. Look at Tony, gone, from giving us life on the shade room to dead on the basement floor. Barry gets life, but not her. Devalued, dumb, doomed. I do want to see both sides. Rip entry and exit wound. Repent and reform. I'll wait and will and work. Till then, I got a bullet with your fame on it. 1 and then the 2. Poem number 2. In broad daylight, Black saviors look grandma. Or I think I built that wall myself. Or my grandmother would never play craps. I ain't never liked gambling. My grandmother's last hurrah was at a casino in Atlantic City. She could talk then. I remember because she called home in a panicked haze when the jackpot lights were all too much, and she forgot the bus that took her there was the same bus that would take her back. My family took a gamble when putting her in a nursing home. She could talk then. I remember because she hated that place and was, of course, fed up with the incompetence of those in power. She saw the country take a gamble on its first black president. The best 8 years of my life, the last 8 years of hers. She was mute for years before the end. I remember because she never wished me a happy 21st. Or maybe she did, but I wasn't close enough to hear it. I guess I forgot how to listen. I forgot how to talk to someone who couldn't talk back. Months before she died, this country took a gamble on Red. She couldn't talk no more. I hadn't been listening anyway. But I bet she had a few choice words for what would make this country great for the first time. He'd been ruining this country for 457 days. She'd been gone for 251 days. I've been going double or nothing with my sanity at stake. Like going broke on fix anything. I was going to write this to her, but I keep telling myself she'll never hear it. I think I built that wall myself. Last poem, poem number 3. In broad daylight, black daughters look gossip. No one in church knows my father, but I carry his name. Head bowed in prayer, in shame, in offering, empty palms turned up at the altar. I am nothing more than his daughter, begging another man I have never seen, for mercy, for love, for saving. There is never a good enough lie to tell. The truth is always gone. I am a lonely audience while the choir hums and the congregation peers over their shoulder. They say, neighbor, and the air whispers, lonely. The whispers whisper come forth. No one whispers forgive, so I don't. I just carry my void on my shoulders, at the dance, on paper, on my tithes, on my wedding day, on my smile. Everyone says that's my best feature. Says it lights up a room, could light up the sky. I think that kind of metaphor is what killed Christ. I was born and named and left. This smile was born with a window. All my sacred keeps slipping right through, and I just let it. Ain't no sense in chasing what ain't. That goes for lovers. That goes for leavers. Remember, no one in my church knows my father. They just know his name. And pray my strength in his name. But this name is mine in all its history. This smile is mine in all its fissures. What comes and goes from my mouth will have been crafted of my own legend. And who I choose to worship is the one facing me in the mirror of my own altar. Thank you so much for allowing me to read to you. These poems are so deep and they're so beautiful. And it's like the more I read them, the more I understand. Like with the first poem that we read, with it's called Black Girls Look Goals. It's like I feel that happens like when Black women report abuse that they go through from someone in the industry. It's like it's overlooked and they're harassed instead of the issue being addressed. But we know why it's not addressed due to patriarchy and misogyny. We live in a world that literally hates women. But I love how this poem addressed that, even though this was written years ago. And a lot of what she talks about still takes place in 2025. That's what I love about literature. It's like it's a time capsule, but at the same time, time is an illusion. So it's like the words that somebody wrote 20 years ago could apply today. That's the beautiful thing about literature. Words like they literally age like fine wine. And poem number 2 with the grandma, it's like, yes, like when you have a deep connection with your grandmother, it's something that like words can't fully explain, but it's just such a beautiful connection, you know? If you know, you know. If you were a grandma's girl, because I'm a Grammy girl, okay? And then poem number 3, I love that because I feel like it's gonna go over a lot of people's heads. But when she said, "Remember, people are in this church," let me go back and read it because I don't want to quote it. I don't want to misquote her. 25 to 26, because I went to another page. Okay. I really love this line right here. She says, "Remember, no one in church knows my father. They just know his name." And I feel like that is very symbolic because a lot of people will go to church every Sunday, but they don't have this relationship with God. Like it's very performative. They know who God's name is, but they don't know, right? So I feel that that is what was trying to be conveyed. And I love that you can read this in one way. Like I read it at first thinking like she was talking about her actual dad. But, you know, a lot of times people resort to patriarchy when it comes to the Bible and they view God as a man. So they're going to say the father, the father. So I looked at it like that too. But also just, yeah, how she reclaimed herself in the end and said that she would worship herself on her own altar. So that's very, very beautiful. And I love these poems. And I feel that if I was a professor, I would definitely teach this because this is so good. And I just love literature and reading. So you're going to see more from me. I'm going to try to read more poems. I just try to limit it so that it's not super long or that I don't stumble over stuff. But yeah, thank you so much. Mwah. Peace. Until we meet again. Thank you so much.